And once again, live Friday night tech talk. Welcome, folks. Glad to have you all here. And there goes my phone doing what it always does. Um, Hope everybody had a good week. If you're new here, last week we had a few new people, and I do this every Friday night, going over the stories from tech in the past week and whatever I think is interesting or might interest you folks. So tonight, first one that was in here was Eleanor, and right behind her was Vince. Said hi, Vince, and hope I'm going to say this right. Amogus, I think. Anyway, I welcomed them all in, and I did type in. Would love it if everyone could type in the chat where you're from. Except Eleanor, I know where you are. And here's Brian, New York City. All right. Basically a homeboy for me. I'm from New Jersey, about a half a mile across the river from Manhattan. People, when I worked in New York, people used to say, well, where is West New York, New Jersey? And I would say, if you go to the Hudson River and about 42nd Street, you're looking right at it. Okay. Vince is from Germany. Glad to have you here. We got a worldwide audience. Okay, and here is, see if I say this right, Janix. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not great with names. USA, Mobile Geezer into crypto. Are you going to? Haven't gotten to the crypto thing yet. I guess at some point we're all going to be forced to get into it, is my guess. Okay, here's Chrissy. Hi, Chrissy. Glad to have you here. Here's Miss E saying hi to everyone. And Eleanor is responding in German. Eleanor is a first-generation American born here, but her first language was German because everybody in her house spoke German. Okay. And let's see. Oh, Mogus, thank you very much. Very, very happy to take all donations. Super Chat is wide open and very generous. I appreciate it. And Miss E is up in New York State. A little colder up there than here, although, and Vince did respond, Eleanor. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow morning, I think we have our first frost warning. I think it's supposed to be somewhere between 34 and 37 in the morning here. So I'm going to try to get on that bicycle tomorrow morning, and I'm going to have a good cold ride, which I had a real cold ride Wednesday too. And what I'm finding is I usually ride a minimum of 17 miles on my bicycle, and after about 11 miles, I usually take a break, and then it starts getting real cold when it's 50 degrees. So we'll see how I do tomorrow. So, all right, first thing I want to do is show everybody where to see the show notes, and that's on my webpage at mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, and then just click on the first story. So I'll share that screen. Okay, so it's mobilegeezer.wordpress.com. Click on the very first story, which is Friday Night Tech Talk show notes for today's date. So just want everybody to see that if you just want to follow along in the show notes. Yeah, Eleanor's telling me I'm going to turn into a popsicle thing. Yeah, I'm going to be pretty cold. And for those of you that don't know, when I was younger, I've had frostbite twice, so I'm real good at knowing when it's coming and getting my hands and feet out of the cold. And of course, when you ride a motorcycle, you get used to riding in the cold. I can ride a motorcycle down to about 30 degrees, and then that's about it for me. So, and I see another super chat just came in, but it hasn't come here on StreamYard yet. There's a delay between. Okay, there it is. Okay, thank you very much. I have no idea how to. Dipples like Edward Kosenberg. I'm going to guess German also, but I'm not sure. But I appreciate the super chat very, very much. Okay, so it's nice to have the new people. Every Friday night I'm here with these stories, and very happy to have you here. And correct my bad pronunciation of your names whenever you feel the need. I understand. Okay, I'm going to go now. We are out of Techtober, which means there are no more, at least for this week, there are no big phone announcements, so I don't have any of that for you. But last week I did say after the Facebook name has changed, or the Facebook, I guess, parent company maybe has changed to Meta, and I told you I would do a story on that this week. So I'm going to start with that. If I can get it to come up, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen. And I have no real interest in Meta myself, at least not yet. But I figured it is kind of the big story of the week, since Facebook is the most popular social platform in the world. So this one I pulled from Tech News World, and you can follow along in the show notes if you want. And Facebook reveals name change to Meta Vision to prioritize the Metaverse by Jack M. Germain. I guess it's very germane and to the point. I can't resist bad jokes, so you'll get used to me, I hope. All right, let's see if I can change this to reader view so we can get rid of some of these ads. Okay. Social media giant Facebook has a new name, Meta, but the old name will remain the face on the digital conversion book. CEO Mark Zuckerberg on Thursday announced the company's name is changing to reflect its growing focus on the metaverse. But the social platform's users and detractors will not see much in the way of restructuring its operation. From now on, we're going to be the metaverse first, not Facebook first, Zuckerberg said at the company's Connect 2021 conference when announcing the corporate name change. The new name reflects his view for the company's vision of the metaverse beyond now. Not quite sure what that means. The term meta originates from the Greek prefix and preposition for after or beyond. Okay, now I get it. At Connect, Zuckerberg said Meta brings together Facebook's apps and technologies under one new company brand. Meta's focus will be to bring the metaverse to life and help people connect, find communities, and grow businesses. Our corporate structure is not changing, however, as we announced on our earnings call. How we report on our financials will. We will report on two operating segments beginning with our quarter 4 2021 results, one covering our family of apps and one covering Reality Labs. Facebook spokesperson Lisa Stratton told Tech News World. Reality Labs Research is Facebook's technology research division, which recently got its own rebranding from being called Facebook's AR/VR team. The corporate name transition to Meta puts a number of platforms under one umbrella organization. Those divisions include Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Facebook's rebranding takes a page from Google's playbooks, as we all remember. Google in 2015 created Alphabet as the parent company for Google and several related companies. For Facebook, the name change comes in the wake of mounting criticism, that's for sure, following the leak of documents revealing internal research and decision-making. That prompted ongoing investigations by congressional committees comprised of both parties. Federal lawmakers over the last 2 months have been questioning Facebook about how its services impact the mental health of teens and children, and we've done stories on that. Some congressional committees are calling for regulations resulting from Facebook scandals involving safety, data privacy abuses, and alleged misinformation. Right now, our brand is so tightly linked to one product that it can't possibly represent everything we're doing today, let alone in the future. Over time, I hope that we are seen as a metaverse company, and I want to anchor our work and identity on what we're building towards, said Zuckerberg. Part of the rebrand reflects Facebook's efforts to shift from its social network base to the next stage in social technology. The Metaverse Vision depicts an immersive virtual reality world with real-time users engaging the platform for work, concerts, family gatherings, and more. And he did do a pretty long, I guess a 10-minute or 12-minute or so video explaining it and showing some of what it's. So if you look for that video on Meta, you'll probably find it very much VR. Technology experts said such a move could take a decade or more to fully develop at a large scale. The Meta concept could move the traditional social media platform beyond 2D screens toward more immersive experiences, with or without goggles, though. Meta will use augmented reality and virtual reality to build an evolutionary social technology platform. Zuckerberg, during his keynote address at Connect, praised Facebook's accomplishments. He said, moving beyond what is possible today, beyond the constraints of screens and the limits of distance and physics, was exciting. It seems a lot of his vision for this is putting people in a virtual reality space and making them feel like they're together. So we'll see how that works. We move towards a future where everyone can be present with each other, like I just said, create new opportunities and experience new things. Is a future that is beyond any one company, and that will be made by all of us, he said. Zuck's still in command. Like many past corporate rebranding efforts, Facebook's adoption of the Meta moniker seems likely little more than an attempt to distract customers, shareholders, and users from the reams of bad news plaguing the company. I agree, suggested Charles King, principal analyst at Pundit. The focus on VR and AR tech is hardly surprising, given the $2 billion Facebook bet on Oculus in 2014. That wager has yet to pay off, but the company's leadership appears to believe that muscular new next-gen networking and compute will help drive users to new immersive services. Despite their optimism, the odds of that happening seem very long to me, he told Tech News World. So some people think it'll work and some people don't. A larger point is made clear in the Meta announcement, he added. Despite the new name, Facebook's corporate structure is not changing. This is still Mark Zuckerberg's company, literally, since he owns the majority of shares. Whatever he decides to call the organization, this decision has a strong whiff of, here comes the new boss. Looks like the old boss. So I wanted to start with that because that was kind of the big deal of the last week. Let's stop just staring at the screen. Okay. And I have a follow-up story simply because I thought it was interesting. Let's see what's happening over in the chat for a minute. Let's see. Thank you very much, Trenuyan Trito, I guess. Very bad pronunciation of names. See, Missy said, Skynet wannabe, get in line behind better opinions. Mom said hello. So, and there's another one. Thank you very much. Very, very happy that you guys consider me worth donating to, and it'll definitely help the channel. So I'm going to pull up the follow-up story. Oh, well, let me get the follow-up story, and then I'll show you something I tried today. Let's take this off. See if I can share the screen. I just thought this was an interesting follow-up. This was on BBC News. Facebook's metaverse plans labeled as dystopian and a bad idea by Jane Wakefield. Let's put on read a view. Okay. And one of Facebook's earlier investors, that's this gentleman right here, has labeled the social media giant's plans for metaverse as dystopian. Meta, as Facebook is now known, is investing billions in the project. But Roger McNamee, that's Roger McNamee right there, told the BBC it's a bad idea, and the fact that we are all sitting and looking at this like it's normal should be alarming everyone. Meta's chief product officer, Chris Cox, told attendees at the Web Summit in Lisbon that the idea would make the internet less flat. Well, yeah, if you're going into VR. He said it would be considerably better than video conferencing as a space for meetings. However, speaking at the same event, Mr. McNamee was highly skeptical, so I guess he was there. Facebook should not be allowed to create a dystopian metaverse, he said. The term metaverse was coined during the 1990s in a science fiction novel, Snow Crash, where it served as a virtual reality successor to the internet, which I guess is what Zuckerberg is trying to do. Mr. McNamee became a critic of Facebook as he began to see more misinformation on the platform. He said he was not convinced that the metaverse would be safe in Chief Executive Mark Zuckerberg's hands. Now, keep in mind, this guy was like in near the beginning of Facebook. There's no way that a regulator or policymaker should be allowing Facebook to operate there in the metaverse or get into cryptocurrencies. Yeah, Facebook has already started delving into that a few months ago. Facebook should have lost the right to make its own choices. A regulator should be there giving pre-approval for everything they do. Wow, this guy's hard on them. The amount of harm they've done is incalculable. Mr. Cox, speaking for Meta, put forward a different view. Gee, what a surprise. That the metaverse idea is the next step for the internet as a whole, not just for his company. Technology often starts in lower resolutions versions of what it becomes. Feedback from Meta's Oculus virtual reality headset users was that the technology, which was improving all the time, could be incredibly fun. Yeah, I think he wants to do more than fun. Mr. Cox told Nicholas Carlson, editor-in-chief of news publication Insider, that his own dabbling in the metaverse included hosting meetings and entertainment for staff. He said he and his wife watched a comedy show with Facebook employees in which everyone appeared as avatars. 20 of us in the room, co-workers, all laughing together. The same technology was a good alternative to video calls, he argued. Everyone is exhausted by video conferencing. You don't know who's looking at who. Everyone is constantly interrupting each other. Meetings in the metaverse would be far better, he said, with Meta working on how to improve spatial audio and body language in virtual reality. When asked why anyone would want to meet in virtual reality, he said it would not replace real life, nothing should, and I don't want to design something that does. Yeah, we'll see. He acknowledged that no one company such as Meta would own the metaverse, pointing to Roblox as an example. Roblox, a user-generated gaming platform valued at $30 billion and with 37 million users around the globe, has its own plans for the metaverse. Chief Executive David Baszucki has for several years been outlining his vision of it as a digital place where people play, work, or learn with millions of 3D experiences. Yeah, it seems like 3D is the big thing here. At Web Summit, Roblox's head of music, John Vlassopoulos, told the BBC, I think our view of the metaverse is that we've been at it for about 15 years. Okay. So we've been ushering in the metaverse, and we feel it needs to be a place that everyone can access, a place where people can express themselves and connect together. We've been building around this vision for a long time. We're excited that more people are coming to validate that notion. Mr. Cox was asked whether the metaverse, which Mr. Carlson described as a cartoon world, was something that the tech giant should control. He said there would need to be a set of standards and a set of protocols, along with public discourse about how to keep the space safe. Yeah, who's going to set those standards, I wonder? He added that Mr. Zuckerberg was committed to safety, something he said the company had been working on for over a decade. Sorry about laughing, but Mark Zuckerberg committed to safety. That's pretty laughable to me. Anyway, so I just wanted to show that there was some differing opinions about the metaverse, at least as far as Facebook is concerned, or Meta is concerned. So I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. This is my Pixel 6 Pro, and I had not tried using Magic Eraser until today while I was at work, actually. And I didn't even take the picture I'm going to show you on this phone. I took it about 2 weeks ago when I was riding my bicycle in the park. But I think you guys can see what I got, because it'll work on old pictures that you've taken already. So it's not going to be very clear here, but you can see I'm taking a picture of a guy fishing, and you can see the guy standing there. Okay. Oh, there, it cleared up a little bit. Okay. So all I did was tap it, and this is what I got. As you can see, he has completely disappeared. And I mean, as soon as I tapped Magic Eraser, it singled him out. I didn't even have to tap on him. It guessed that that's what I wanted to delete, and boom, it was gone. And it's pretty amazing to just watch. And keep in mind, I did not even take that on this phone. So just wanted you guys to see that Magic Eraser seems to work. Now, I have heard some vlogs that, yeah, is saying that is great. Yeah, it's pretty amazing technology. I have heard on some vlogs that it's can be hit and miss. I get it depends on what you're trying to get rid of in the picture, but it seems to work great on people. So I just wanted to show you guys that was pretty awesome. So now we'll get away from Facebook and Meta and the whole metaverse. And my next story. So this week I just tried to come up with stories that I just thought might interest you guys. So I'm going to share screen. I thought this one was pretty good. This is one man's opinion. Oh no, this is not the opinion piece, sorry. This once again is on Tech News World, and it's Google versus Apple smartphones. Similar capabilities, polar opposites in strategic execution, by Rob Enderle. So let's put on reader mode, reader view. We are often faced with similar choices at first glance that later turn out to be very different. Looking at the latest iPhone and Pixel smartphone launches on the surface, both products seem to embrace beautiful screens, advanced cameras, and differentiated designs. Still, Apple's strategy is all about status and making you stand out as an Apple user, while Google's strategy is more about features and what you can do with its phones. In effect, Apple is more about form, appearance, and ease of use, while Google is more about function. Even economically, the two firms are very different. Google doesn't care that much about initial profit margins on its devices because it makes money from advertising and selling customer information. However, Apple lives on margins. The company generates revenue by forever lowering costs while raising prices. Customers well suited to either line are generally pleased with the outcome. That's true. Though historically, as long as they are not connected with cost, iPhone users are more loyal than Pixel users. That's also true. Still, Pixel users aren't as locked in and can move to a host of well-differentiated Android phones and manufacturers if they want to change. Those Android alternatives include foldable and twin-screen phones. Apple users are locked in and enjoy a far more limited set of choices, which can be an advantage if you don't want to anguish over that choice. Let's contrast Apple and Google smartphones this week. Then we'll close with my product of the week, which I probably won't go into, and a new VR headset. So Apple and Google, these two companies are vastly different. Apple was created during IBM's dominance and reflects the now primarily obsolete lock-in strategy that IBM used. That strategy has the customer effectively locked out the competition, allowing Apple to dictate prices and features, that's for sure. This strategy can and should result in a more profound knowledge about the customer, a more focused line, and a far less risky product development, because without choice, the customer will generally choose what you offer. That's absolutely true. At Apple, the product is king and users are driven to the products Apple makes. Google came to market when Microsoft was under fire, that's also true, to a certain extent, reflected a mirror image of what Microsoft was then. Though over time, Microsoft has evolved to arguably be a better alternative to what it once was than has Google. This period was when lock-in had primarily failed as a strategy and customers wanted choices. So like Microsoft, Google licensed out its technology. Still, unlike Microsoft at the time, it championed concepts like open source and high interoperability. IBM and Microsoft both adopted these concepts in subsequent years, proving that Google initially went to some degree where most of the rest of the computer industry later headed. That's true. iPhone versus Pixel. iPhones cost more and do look more expensive than Pixel phones. Maybe not so much since the Pixel 6, but matter of opinion. Both iPhone and Pixel have multiple cameras with a significant focus on taking impressively good pictures and videos. Apple's A15 Bionic also has AI capabilities, but Apple isn't as aggressive about using them. Among other things, for instance, Pixel's AI does a better job of real-time translation, on-device automatic speech recognition, and creating live captions for media. And yes, as far as the real-time translation, Ms. C has spoken to me in French and it translated on the phone instantly. And Eleanor has done the same in German, but I kind of messed it up a little bit, but it translates instantly and right in front of your eyes. Pixel tends to have more robust editing tools with the latest release, a Tensor dedicated AI processor. Revenue differences typically mean that with similar performance, you'll pay substantially less for the Pixel phone than an equivalent iPhone. The underlying strategy is that Apple is more interested in you buying new phones, while Google has been transitioning to a more of a long-term support model where enhancements, where possible, are more aggressively pushed out to users. And they did a great job with the Pixel 6, in my opinion. So the Pixel phone should cost less and last longer than their Apple equivalents. I don't know if that's true about lasting longer. I expect this differentiation to extend as Google focuses more on sustainability than Apple, because Google's model favors sustainability since it's more service-centric. Apple, which is focused more on product sales than services, conflicts with sustainability at the moment because its model is founded on device replacement. Yeah, but they also push out updates for 5 or 6 years too. Interestingly, both phone makers are using unusually robust but very different glass for their screens. That's true. Apple uses a ceramic display that, like sapphire, is more resistant to scratches than glass and more brittle. Google uses Corning's most advanced solution, Victus, which promises scratch resistance in line with ceramics, but it should be more resistant to cracking than ceramics. I expect Apple picked the ceramic approach because it was cheaper, while Google chose Corning because it was technically better, reflecting both companies' priorities. For the money, you get more capability with Pixel, but less status. The iPhone costs more, but gives you the Apple ecosystem, and it does convey status better than the Pixel. Users who are very status-orientated are likely to be happier with the Apple line, as are those who don't want to learn new skill sets. Those who are more function-oriented, like to learn new things, consider the phone more of a tool than personal jewelry, and who want more phone choices will typically prefer the Android ecosystem and Pixel. I'd take the Pixel over the iPhone any day of the week. However, just as consistently, my wife would take the iPhone, and both of us would undoubtedly be happier with our choices than if we switched sides. For those willing to put in the time to learn how to use advanced tools, want a lot for a low price, and who want a lot of choices, Android, and especially the Pixel line, would be the best bet. For those locked into the Apple ecosystem, moving from Apple to Android is painful, and particularly those who want a straightforward phone to use and that conveys status, then the iPhone line would be better. that's true. Finally, for those that think of the smartphone as a tool, Pixel is the best choice. While those that think of the smartphone as more of an accessory and personal statement will prefer the iPhone. Overall, you'll be happiest if you pick the phone that best matches both what you've done in the past and your approach to personal technology. So just pointing out how very different the experiences are and to some degree how the devices are made. So I just thought that was a good, interesting article. Okay, get that off there. Okay, nothing new in the chat. Okay, so I will go on. And I don't have a GoPro, but I thought other people might be interested in this story. Let me share my screen. Okay. GoPro says the chip shortage won't affect holiday sales. So anybody who's into GoPro, you can get the latest, I guess, for Christmas, and it won't be a problem. There will be plenty of Hero 10 cameras to go around. By Sean O'Kane. So let's go into review, get rid of some of these ads. Okay. GoPro says the global chip and other supply chain shortages won't affect its holiday sales this year, meaning the action camera company is poised to finish one of its best years in recent memory in strong fashion. Despite supply chain constraints that are affecting many industries, we have successfully partnered with our suppliers to produce inventory to support our fourth quarter revenue expectations, CEO Nick Woodman said while discussing the company's third quarter financial results on Thursday. GoPro and our retail partners will be stocked and ready for shoppers this holiday season. That's especially good news for GoPro's bottom line because the new Hero 10 Black is selling incredibly well despite the higher $499 price tag. GoPro said Thursday that 98% of the roughly 800,000 cameras it sold in the third quarter were at or above the $300 sale price. That's pretty good, up from 83% in the third quarter of 2020. The average sale price for cameras in the quarter was up $381, up 25% year over year. So GoPro is really doing well, I gather. GoPro has always been increasingly shifting to a direct sales model, over the last few years. Nearly a third of its revenue this past quarter came from sales on GoPro.com, which means it's making more money on every camera sold. Good for them. The company said Thursday that it booked $14 million in revenue this past quarter for its subscription service too, which now has over 1.34 million customers. All that adds up to the company's best third quarter since 2017. GoPro booked $317 million in revenue and about $49 million in profit. The company reported a quarterly profit of $312 million, though $263 million of that was attributed to a wonky deferred tax situation. I wonder if they cook in the books. GoPro's best quarter every year, though, is the final one. The holiday season has always been kind to the camera company, even in its darkest year, so great that they won't have any shortages. With the Hero 10 Black already doing well, and the memories of layoffs and failed products getting fuzzier, it could turn out to be one of the company's biggest quarters since its blockbuster holiday season in 2014, which was when it broke into the mainstream with the Hero 4 cameras. I remember that. So I've never gotten around to getting a GoPro Hero, but I know Jay Will, he seems to get almost all of them. He's always pretty impressed with them too. So if you want to see some GoPro stuff over the years, look up Jay Will. And Tanner's in here. Oh, and Gary's in here. Oh, Tanner. Tanner starts off with a bang. Thank you, Tanner. Really appreciate it, brother. Glad you're here. And Gary. Okay, we need a troublemaker. Just kidding, Gary. Gary's saying hello. Okay. Let's see. Yep, me too. I don't know if you were here, Tan. I just showed them my first use of the magic eraser, and it was awesome. So I was amazed at how easy it was to use. And Gary's in that Pixel 6 is fire also. Yep. Yeah, I haven't used the Pixel 6, but it seems like the Pixel 6 is pretty awesome also. So I would highly recommend either one at this point. So anyway, I just thought anybody who might be interested in the GoPro, especially since I guess Christmas is their best-selling season, that there won't be any shortage for the Hero 10. So if you want to go out and grab one for yourself or somebody else, you won't have any problem with that this Christmas. And Tanner said the Pixel 6 is also very easy to use. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to be going a little more in depth with the Pixel 6 than I probably have on any other phone that I've tried. Tanner's saying he used the 6, it was solid too, but the Pro takes it into a whole other. I gotta agree. Oh yeah, while I was reading the story comparing the two, you should be aware, especially those of you who are new, that every day I always carry a Android phone. Right now it's a Pixel 6 Pro, and I always carry an iPhone. And this is the iPhone 12 Pro. So I traded in my Pixel 4a on the Pixel 6 Pro, and I had traded in my 3a when I got the Z Flip. But every day I carry both phones. So I have a pretty good idea of what the general user experience is at all times. And I use both phones, especially when I'm at work all the time. So, okay, moving on to the next story that I've got. Okay, like I said, no big sales. So I just pulled up what I thought were interesting stories. So this one is on CNET. And this is their idea of the best 5G phones for 2021. Here are the best 5G phones you can buy right now in 2021, according to CNET editors. So we got Lin Lai, Andrew Hoyle, and Prakhar Khanna. So 3 editors. Now, before I go on to read a view, you can see here it says show 7 more items. So here's their list, and it gives you the price at Amazon. Apple iPhone 13, 13 Mini, 13 Pro, and 13 Pro Max. Google Pixel 6 Pro, Pixel 6, Samsung S21 Ultra, which I have. Can't show you unless I change it. Which I have right here. And I'm not sure if the Pixel 6 is going to take it from me as the king of photography, but I'm going to try to start finding out this weekend. So just wanted to let you guys know that. So, because when I got the S21 Ultra, I said this was by far the best phone I've ever had. So we'll see. So the rest of the list, Pixel 4a, 5G, and Pixel 5, Motorola Edge Plus, OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro, Galaxy S21, A52 5G, which I also have, let's see, right here. Okay, this was my first Samsung A-line phone. So, Motorola One 5G Ace, Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, which I have, but it's not within reach. And I'm still using that one every day too. Motorola One 5G and the Sony Xperia 5 II, which I didn't realize you could get any Sony phone below $1,000, but I guess this one's $848 at Amazon. Okay, so now I will turn on Reader View because you couldn't see the whole list with Reader View on. Okay. So the super fast data speeds of 5G aren't just limited to the wealthy. We're now seeing the service become available on much more affordable handsets. What once seemed like a distant dream is now common with all of the top phones released in the last year, including the iPhone 13 series, Samsung's Galaxy S21, being fully enabled to take advantage of those 5G phone speeds. And yes, I have now 5 5G phones, and they all in the Chattanooga area, they all get 5G just about all the time. I'm very happy with it. The Pixel 6 arrived recently too, though the picture regarding 5G is rather murky for Google's new flagship phone. I'm not sure what that means because I get 5G here on the Pixel 6 very nicely. But ever since I started getting 5G phones, it's been very strong for me in the Chattanooga area on T-Mobile. Though it won't replace 4G in its entirety, 5G is the next generation of mobile connectivity. 5G works fast, and many industries will benefit from the new network, including drones, self-driving cars, and the Internet of Things. Probably the Metaverse, too, is my guess. Its growth across the U.S., the UK, and the wider world has been fast, but it's still not everywhere, so make sure 5G coverage is available, or at least coming soon in your area, before you splash the cash on a 5G-enabled handset. Remember that a 5G phone will still work as normal on a 4G network, albeit at lower speeds. So don't be afraid of buying a 5G phone like the S21 Ultra, even if you're not in a 5G zone. It's good practice to future-proof yourself. You may not be in a 5G zone right now, but it may well be that 5G will come to your area in the 3 years or so you have your phone. So at least you'll be ready to take advantage of it when it arrives. Yeah, I would think in 3 years, most of the world's going to have 5G. But with 5G handsets being offered by every major phone manufacturer now, it can be difficult to work out which one is best for you. We've done some of the hard work and put together our list of top 5G-enabled phones that you can go and buy right now. Google Pixel 6 and Pro and Pixel 6. And Andrew Hoyle picked that. $899, the Google Pixel 6 Pro undercuts rivals on price while including so much value. I attest to that. It comes with a flagship camera setup, new AI features, which I just showed you, the Magic Eraser, a crisp display, and a distinctive design. If you only have $600 to spend, I think you should get the lower-end Pixel 6, which still sports the flagship cameras and the big screen. Yeah. Let's see. Let me see what Gary's saying over here. So Gary's saying S21 Ultra over the Flip. For photography, for cameras, I'd say yes. But of course, I love using the Flip like everybody else. So yeah, I'd still say the S21 Ultra edges out the Flip, but I wouldn't give up my Flip for anybody. So, Miss E is saying, haven't seen any better photo capabilities than on my Note 20 when I had it. The clarity was unreal. Yes, it was, but I think the Ultra just barely beat it out, as it also does the Flip, in my opinion. She's saying her Note 20 had only one flaw, occasional oversaturation of blues and reds. And the Ultra is a little bit better at that. And I think that's one thing the Flip does well. It doesn't do so much of the old saturation that Samsung's famous for. So going down to the next phone, which we're just talking about, the Ultra. And that's by Angela Lang. Let's see if I can get, okay. The Galaxy S21 Ultra is the best phone Samsung makes right now. I agree. Packaging everything you'd expect from an elite flagship phone. It's got a big, vibrant screen and an incredible rear camera setup, including a zoom lens unlike anything we've seen. Yeah, I've got to compare that zoom lens with the Pixel 6 Pro. It's absolutely stuffed with power. This Android phone doesn't come cheap, but it's the 5G phone to go for if you're looking for the best of the best in Android handset. And I got to agree until the Pixel 6 Pro. Now we're going to find out from me in the next few weeks. Okay, Pixel 4a 5G and Pixel 5. And my Pixel 5a is not on the list, but okay. And also Angela Lang. The Pixel 5 and Pixel 4a 5G are 5G phones from Google that have long-lasting batteries, excellent cameras with fantastic low-light capabilities, and software support from Google. As the more expensive of the older two 5G Pixel phones, the Pixel 5 has a 90 hertz display, wireless charging, and reverse wireless charging, meaning it can wirelessly charge something else. The Pixel 4a is out of stock at Google. Well, now I just sent them back one, so they've got one more. And the Pixel 5 has been discontinued, but both are still available elsewhere. Motorola Edge Plus. And I haven't had a Moto phone in about a year and a half or 2 years, about a year and a half, I guess. Despite its high price tag and being a Verizon exclusive, the Edge Plus is still a premium 5G smartphone worth looking into. This 5G phone features a Snapdragon 865 chipset, a giant battery, and an OLED screen with a high refresh rate and multiple rear cameras with heavy-duty specs. As CNET's Patrick Holland declared, it's one of the most wonderful Android phones I've tried in a long time. Oh, good for him. I get suspicious when they have to say with heavy-duty specs, but that's just me. Maybe I just have a suspicious nature. Okay, OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro. This is from Andrew Hoyle. The OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro impressed with their excellent performance, their slick designs, and their generally decent cameras. Not great, I noticed. While both are 5G signal enabled, it was the base OnePlus 9 that particularly wowed us with its much better battery life and its more affordable price tag. Okay. It's the phone to go for if you want a flagship experience but don't want to empty your bank account to get it. Okay, then the regular S21. And this is by Sarah too. There's a lot to like about the Galaxy S21, but the best thing about it has got to be the price. Samsung's next-gen flagship line starts at $800, and you can find it on Amazon right now for $150 off in certain colors. That's true. I did see that. Samsung made some trade-offs to get to that price. The phone has 4 gigabytes less RAM than its predecessor. The wall charger and headphones don't come in the box, and it doesn't have a micro SD card slot for expanded storage. But even with those sacrifices, you're getting a lot for your money with this 5G device, including a striking design, the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 88 chip, and 5G connectivity. So there it is. So, of course, you can see the difference in the cameras between the S21 Ultra. Where was it? See, big difference in camera array. So, okay. All right, next up, the Galaxy A52 5G. The one thing I'll say about the A52 for the price, great, but it does suffer from a little lag, and it's not once in a while. Most of the time, there's a slight split-second lag that is noticeable when you use that phone on a daily basis, which I have. I would still recommend it, but just something people should know. Again, by Sarah too. The Samsung Galaxy A52 sports a 6.5-inch AMOLED display with a high refresh rate that can be set to either 120 or 60. I always left mine at 120. The phone features 4 rear cameras, and the main one is really good. That's true. On days with lighter use or when the display is set to 60 hertz, you can easily get the 4,500 milliamp battery to last a day and a half. The Galaxy A52 5G is the best 5G smartphone under $500, which may be true. The cameras are good, but I've compared it with the S21 Ultra. Well, it's not even close, of course. So just wanted to mention that. Okay, now we're going into ones that I don't know a whole lot about. Motorola One 5G Ace. But of course, we're getting to very affordable phones here. Sarah 2 again. Released in January, the Motorola One 5G Ace is the best 5G phone available under $400 right now. It features a big 6.7-inch IPS LCD display and is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 750G. It can capture 48 megapixel photos with an option for 8 megapixel ultra wide and 2 megapixel macro shots. It's your best bet under $400, which may be true. OnePlus Nord and Nord 10 5G, and I didn't go for either one of them this year. Again, Andrew Hoyle. As part of OnePlus's mid-range family of phones, the Nord 10 5G, that's this one, features a 90 hertz display, a headphone jack, and a generous 6.49-inch screen. The new phone will be available in Europe first and North America at a later date. It follows the company's first Nord phone, which also has 5G and is only available in the UK. Yeah, there were a few people that imported it. Seemed to be okay. Okay, here is one I do have. Galaxy Z Flip 3. Want to get in the foldable craze? The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 is the phone to get. It offers flagship performance, good cameras. I'd say they're a little bit better than good in my opinion. Not quite as good as the Ultra, but pretty close. And a decent battery life, all crammed into a small package that looks really, really cool. I love my Z Flip 3. Motorola One 5G. The $300 One 5G is one of the best, most affordable 5G phones available. This cheap phone has a total of six cameras and a 90 hertz high refresh rate display and fast charging technology. It's available now in the US on AT&T and Verizon, so I couldn't use it on T-Mobile. So, but for that price, yeah, it sounds like a pretty good deal. Samsung Galaxy A71 5G. And nothing written. Let me see if I take off read a view. Will something show up under there? A71. Oh, come on, it bounced back to the top on me. Okay, yeah, there is something underneath. So read a view had blocked this off. The $600 Galaxy A71 5G features a 6.7-inch AMOLED display, 4 rear cameras, and a robust 4,500 milliamp battery. In the US, you can nab it on AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Samsung. And I remember last year, before the A52 came out, this was the not the 5G version, but the A71 was the A phone everyone talked about and thought was pretty good. And the Sony Xperia 5 II. The Xperia 5 II is a pricey but gorgeous phone for users who like to play games, shoot photos, and record video. Its 120 hertz display is silky smooth, and its quasi-mirrorless camera, I wonder what that means, can record 4K 120 FPS video. And while it can connect to 5G, the US model of the phone cannot. Well, that's not good. So if you're in the US and you want 5G, don't buy this phone for $800 and some dollars. Okay, so just wanted to go over that. At least we know we have a nice price range in there, and so there's a variety of 5G phones you can get, especially on the Android side, of course. So let's stop screen. And Renz, there you are. Let's see. It was Renz. Okay. I know you're at work, Renz, and I know you're probably busy. So I'm glad to have you here. Okay, I'm sure everybody's glad to have Renz when he comes in. Okie dokie. So, Renz, I did show them earlier. Let me see if I can show you while we're here. On my Pixel 6 Pro, I just did this today for the first time. Sorry for repeating on you folks that have already seen this, but I just wanted Renz to show my first try with Magic Eraser. Where's that picture? Pardon my hold up, folks. Okay, there it is. Now, Renz, I didn't even take this picture on this phone. This I took a couple of weeks ago. I think I took it with the Z Flip. So when I was riding in the park, a guy was fishing on the pier. He was about, I don't know, maybe 200 yards away from me. You can see the guy standing. I hold it still long enough. I think it will focus better anyway, but you can see the guys there. So today, while I was at work, I just said, let me try this Magic Eraser. All I did was touch Magic Eraser, and it knew that I probably wanted to get rid of the guy, and instantly the guy was gone. So I was pretty impressed with that. Just wanted to let you see that. So very cool. They've all seen it once already, but I'm not going to leave you out of anything, Renz. You know that. So, okay, so you're already saying Magic Eraser is the best thing that came out with the Pixel 6. For me, it might be the Live Translate. That was very impressive to me. And Miss E and Elna both spoke to the phone, and I was able to translate instantly. I messed it up a little bit when I was doing it with Elna, but when Miss E did it, it translated from French to English instantly. It was awesome. Yeah, he said that's some sorcery right there. I agree. Okay, going on to the next story. This is a truly opinion piece, but I just thought it was an interesting story to put up. So all you Apple people, don't get angry. This is just one guy's opinion. Okay, this was on Android Authority. He said, change my mind. Detachable Chromebooks are better mobile computers than any iPad. Okay. Detachable Chromebooks are the mobile computers Apple promised us but never delivered. Well, that's probably true. And I have my iPad Pro. And yeah, it didn't replace my laptop for me, much as I love the thing. And that's by Calvin Wankhede, I believe. So let's put on reader view. Okay. Some of you might read the title and scoff at the idea of Chromebooks competing with any modern-day iPad. I once thought along these lines too, before I got hands-on with the Lenovo Duet, a Chromebook with a detachable keyboard trackpad accessory included in the box. Not bad. A week or so ago, I tried out iPad OS 15 on the 2020 iPad Air for the first time. After using the Duet as my primary writing machine, I expected to be blown away. The iPad has a lot going for it hardware-wise, including a still unbeaten SoC. That's true, I guess. And of course, this particular iPad costs nearly 3 times as much as a Duet once you factor in Apple's Magic Keyboard. That's true. Yet only a few days later, I couldn't help but feel a little let down. Performing singular tasks like watching a video, sorry about that, or browsing social media worked decently on the iPad. However, the experience didn't hold up as well in my daily workflow involving a mix of research, writing, and heavy multitasking. While there is no denying that iPad OS has come a long way, it's unfortunately still far too limiting. On its own, this observation probably wouldn't be very interesting, but considering how fervently Apple markets the iPad as the only computer you'll ever need, yeah, that's not true. It's startling that a $250 detachable Chromebook one-ups it in so many areas. Now, he's going to go on to explain this, so don't check it out on me. Apple will be quick to point at the iPad's class-leading performance, vast app library, and overall tight ecosystem integration. But I'd argue that these metrics alone don't guarantee a great user experience. Most of us don't edit photos or manipulate graphics for a living. And in most traditional productivity scenarios, multitasking and versatility are often more important than raw performance. Detachable Chrome OS devices nail the former, even with much inferior hardware. Let me explain. Now, he says why I think Chrome OS is the winner for portable productivity. Chrome OS, extended display, floating Windows, DevTools, Linux app, it's all here. The difference between Chrome OS and iPad OS becomes immediately apparent when you connect a keyboard and a trackpad. While iPad OS will only surface a lonesome mouse cursor, Chrome OS will switch to a full-blown desktop mode. The latter lets you resize individual apps and position them as you see fit. There's even multiple desktop support, something that Apple actually pioneered with Mac OS X Leopard in 2006, wow, a long way back. Apple iPad can run apps side by side, and a third one can be swiped in temporarily. You can even use the keyboard for navigating around the UI, much to my surprise. Well, that's good. But two layouts just don't offer as much multitasking flexibility as floating windows on multiple tiles, like in some Linux-based window managers. Even the Galaxy Z Fold 3 lets you open 3 apps at a time when unfolded. Moving on, though, there's no vertical split screen in iPad OS, that's true, either, which Chrome OS will allow in tablet mode. iPad OS's multitasking is limited and frustrating, even with the improvements in iOS 15. Then there's the subject of RAM management. In my time with the iPad Air, I found that it constantly refreshed background tasks if I walked away from the device. Even with presumably enough free memory, iPad OS opted to suspend apps and prioritize standby battery life instead. In contrast, Chromebooks enter a low power mode at the operating system level, much like Windows or Mac OS. The downsides are that you can't have media playing with the screen off like you can with an iPad. And waking up from this deeper sleep state is a hair slower, but at least it doesn't disrupt your workflow by constantly flushing background tasks after a short while. Even after hours or days of sleep, Chrome OS will restore all formerly running apps, no reload necessary. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Okay. I could go on about how my Chromebook has proven less frustrating to use over the span of a single week, but in the interest of saving some time, here's a quick summary. Chrome OS has dedicated user profiles similar to Android, Windows, Mac OS, and even Apple's TV OS. But with the iPad, there's no such separation. If you're sharing one device between family members, you better remember to log out of your personal accounts in Safari and individual apps. The only other alternative is for each individual to buy their own iPad. Not ideal, yeah, I'd say so. Apple drew our attention with the iPad Pro's Thunderbolt port, which has enough bandwidth to output at 6K resolution. However, you still cannot extend your iPad to an external monitor, only mirror whatever's on the screen. Needless to say, Chrome OS has no such limitation and can properly extend the desktop to as many displays as the port can handle. That's a big difference. Unfortunately, the Duet's USB port can only handle 1080p 30 Hz displays, but newer detachable Chromebooks have a lot more bandwidth. Niche use cases. For all its horsepower, the iPad is still constrained in many professional workflows. Take web development, for instance. Chrome OS bundles the full Chrome browser replete with DevTools. On top of that, you can install alternative browsers, yes, even Firefox, and development tools like Visual Studio Code through Linux. With an iPad, you'll either need a Mac OS machine nearby for debugging, or you'll have to pony up for a third-party app. Price and value. My reference Chromebook, and I think this is the key here, the Lenovo Duet retails for a mere $250. Contrast that with even the cheapest iPad, and you're already paying nearly $100 extra. Well, I think the iPad is $330, so not quite $100. You will also need a keyboard if you want to get some serious work done by the time which you're flirting with the $500 price point. That's true. For less than that, you can get the updated Lenovo Duet 5 with a 13.3-inch OLED screen. The HP X211 is another detachable Chromebook that just hit the market, although it is a bit pricey at $599. Still, it's considerably cheaper than the iPad setup I tested. There were some things about iPad OS that work well in my time using it. I was impressed by Safari, which not only offered a desktop-like web browsing experience, but also often loaded websites faster than the Chromebook. The OS also surfaced a plethora of keyboard shortcuts, enough to satisfy most power users. Additionally, all of the things the iPad is known for, it did very well. Playing games and watching media on an iPad is a much better experience than on most Chromebooks, thanks to the great hardware on offer and the broad app ecosystem of the App Store. Chrome OS lets you resize windows, connect external displays, and create separate user profiles. Why can't you do all of that on an iPad? As for the future of iPadOS, this isn't the first time Apple has tried the slow and iterative approach to improving its operating system. Back when the first iPhone landed, it was conspicuously missing the ability to copy and paste text. Incidentally, this was a feature BlackBerry users held dear. That's true. Yet, as we know today, Apple managed to win market share with the iPhone despite such early glaring omissions. It even added a way to copy and paste a whole 2 years later with iOS 3.0. Similarly, I'm sure that iPadOS will become a viable laptop replacement someday. Until then, the detachable Chromebooks will serve me well. Of course, that's just my opinion, blah, blah, blah. So I thought he was pretty fair in his estimation, and he did say when one was better than the other. So I just thought that was a really good opinion article. Let's see, comments. Okay. Let's see. So I was going to purchase a new Windows 11 laptop and deciding against it and going to choose a Chromebook and said that might be a good choice, especially when you see my next article if you're into Linux. Okay. She says her kids were having a discussion on world topics and Google Assistant started laughing. They turned it off, but it's still there. Google Assistant will do some weird things once in a while. Eleanor was talking in front of the Google Home the other day, and it came out with something. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, okay, where did that come from? So once in a while, Google Assistant has a mind of its own. Brian, thank you very much, as always, sir. You're very generous, and I appreciate it very much. All right. Linux. I just thought for those of you who are Linux fans, you might enjoy this because I gather it's new. Chromebook Linux comes of age, and this was on ZDNet. Linux is officially no longer a beta on Chromebooks, and more functionality is coming. And this by Stephen J. Von Nichols. So let's put on reader view. Okay. Chromebooks are built on top of Linux, but it wasn't until 2018 that Google integrated the Linux desktop into Chrome OS. Then years went by with Linux only available as a beta on Chromebooks. But at long last, with the release of Chrome OS 91, Linux finally becomes a first-class citizen on Chromebooks. Not everyone needs a MacBook Pro or a Windows 10 laptop. These Chromebook laptops feature low prices and long battery lives, proving your point, Missy. Mind you, long before Google integrated Linux into Chromebooks, you could run desktop Linux distros on Chromebooks with the open source Crouton program and its Truth container. You could run Debian, Ubuntu, Kali Linux. Don't know any of those. I don't know much about Linux, though. Or you could run Gallium OS, a third-party Ubuntu Chromebook-specific Linux distribution. Or you could do what I've been doing for the last 3 years, just running Debian Linux using Chromebook's Crostini. This KVM virtual machine system with its LXD Linux containers may have been a beta, but I repeat, never had any trouble running Linux with it on the many Intel-based Chromebooks I've used in the last few years. That's good to know. But now that Linux is officially supported, you can run Linux instances at once on your Chromebook. This will be a big deal. Do you want to compile your code in one container while playing Tux Racer on another? You can do that. Yeah, I remember. I have compiled code on the Linux once or twice, but way back. Well, sort of. In practice, even my Mac's Pixelbook Go with its i7 processor and 16 gigabytes of RAM, both containers stutter a bit. That's surprising with an i7 processor. You'll see this feature is still a beta with a capital B. To make it work, you need to enable the new Crostini multi-container flag. There's also a new Chrome OS settings section, manage extra containers. So I guess for those of you who are actually going to program, pay attention to this. For the rest of us, I guess it's not an issue. This both tells you what your current containers are, lets you create a new one, and enables you to stop or delete your existing containers. In my early testing, I've been stopping a lot of misbehaving containers. Well, that's not good. In short, this new feature is far from ready for ordinary use. Yeah, I'm thinking this is more for programming, people who program. But if you like playing on the bleeding edge of technology, it's well worth a try. Eventually, when this new functionality is perfected, this will make high-end Chromebooks as useful for Linux power users as a top-of-the-line Linux laptop like a Dell XPS 13 Linux Developer Edition. So, Missy, I think you may have the right idea in mind, and I guess Linux is going to keep getting better and better on Chromebooks. So, just thought that was an interesting article. You're typing like me again. I think she means Linux is great and runs and doesn't crash very seldom. Okay. Yeah, she saw it. Okay, so she had a typo. Okay. And my last story of the night. And this is a really quick story, but I just thought it was interesting. Let's share screen. And this is on GSM Arena. And Samsung will reportedly unveil an entry-level 5-nanometer chipset next week. That's pretty cool on an entry level. So I just thought it was interesting to get all the way to 5-nanometer. The Exynos 1080 was, just as Peter. Did I catch who wrote this or not? Let's see. No, it doesn't say. Okay. Sorry about that. The Exynos 1080 was Samsung's first 5-nanometer chipset and one of the first in general, but it was a mid-range offering. The 2100 was the flagship chip. Leakster Ice Universe, and he's a pretty dependable leakster as far as I know, reports that Samsung is working on a new nanometer chip that will be lower end than the 1080 and will target entry-level phones. That's interesting. That chip, confusingly, will be called the Exynos 1280. Why would you call it the 1280 when it's okay? We don't have information on the CPU and GPU composition, but that should be a step down from the 1080, which packs 4 Cortex A78 cores, 4 A55s, and a Mali G78 MP10. Interestingly, this may be the first entry-level 5-nanometer chipset. I'm pretty sure it probably will be. There are mid-range offerings like the Exynos 1080 itself and the Snapdragon 780G, but nothing for the cheaper phones. That will change soon, as according to ICE, Samsung will unveil the Exynos 1280 on November 10th, so less than a week away, next Wednesday. It will be interesting to see who attends the launch party. Vivo is usually a fan of such chips. In fact, it is the only maker to use the Exynos 1080. By the way, ICE previously reported that Samsung will unveil 3 new chipsets this year. Wow. One of those will be, of course, the AMD-based graphics powerhouse, the Exynos 2200. The other will be the entry-level 1280, that's the one we're talking about here, and that leaves an open slot in the mid-range for the third chip. So I just thought that, for those types of phones, having a 5-nanometer chip available for entry-level phones, that's pretty good, I thought. I just thought it was interesting to bring that out. So I would suspect we're going to see more companies jump on that. Just my suspicion. And he says excited to see what Sammy does with that 5-nanometer chip. Yep. So that's my stories for tonight. And of course, I always have at this point any open discussion. Any of you guys want to bring in, just bring it in the chat. And meanwhile, I will go on to glowing rectangles, which we feature every week, just to let you guys know that there is a place for the little developers and the small YouTubers. I'm going to share screen. Okay. So this is on reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles. And this was started by Ron Bagnell, some gadget guy, because he seemed to feel that some of these smaller YouTubers and even bloggers weren't getting enough, weren't getting shown enough. So he started this, and every day people post to it. And if I click on top, we'll see what was voted. The top one today, and this is Google Pixel Sys Review. Whose is this? Adam Reviews Tech. Okay, so you vote by up arrow, because you can vote down also. So this one got 6 votes today, and so people think this was probably the best one out today so far. The second one is always an ad. So this is the next most popular today. Now, this I see 2, I see 7, I see 6 on the one up top. Interesting. But not my site. Just upgrade to my first foldables. But usually you'll see they go down as you go down. So if it's you or even somebody you know that makes a video and isn't getting enough exposure, or a blogger who's not getting enough exposure, you could come here and just add it to glowing rectangles, and at least they'll get some exposure, and maybe they'll get upvoted. So, and this was some gadget guy's 2-week view, 6-week. I haven't had a chance to watch this yet, but I'm certainly going to, because I highly respect Juan's opinion on this. And Juan is somewhat of an expert on photography. I even have a book that I bought of his about smartphone photography maybe 4 years ago. So anyway, I would highly recommend glowing rectangles if you want to give somebody exposure or you want some exposure yourself. So that's, once again, reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles. So let's stop that screen. And that's all I have for today, folks. And glad to have the new guys that joined, and very, very pleased with the people who gave me super chats, and appreciate your generosity. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope I don't freeze on my bicycle tomorrow. And be blessed. Let's see, what's Mr. E saying? Great show as always. Articles that pique my interest in things that are not in the. Yeah, I try to come up with some stuff that you're not going to see everywhere else, and maybe somebody will be interested in. So everybody have a blessed weekend, and hopefully I'll see you back here next Friday for Friday Night Tech Talk. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for all the comments, guys. Appreciate it. And there's Ren's coming in again. Ren's, you're always so faithful. Really appreciate it, sir. And he says happy weekend to everybody. So see you next week, folks.